Today, I'm going to be showing you an insane game. So, as you might know, the Chess Olympiad is going on right now. And as of recording this, September 11th, 2024, it was the first day. And on this first day, Team USA played against Team Panama. On this board, Team USA, represented by Levon, chess legend, nowadays out of his prime and only 27, 29. And he played against Andre Mendez, rated 21, 22. Obviously, also not his highest rating. He's an FM. And Levon, being the huge favorite, he had to fight in this game. Started with e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e5. And a lot of you might know, the point is to trade, play c3, d4, or not trade. Put the bishop back and just vibe and get a good game. Knight f6. Knight f6 is kind of a bit... I mean, it's a good move, but it's very provocative. You know, usually you would play g6, e6, d6, a6 if you have no idea what you're doing, and even queen b6. But knight f6. And he's basically saying, e5, I go knight d5. The knight, I think the point here, knight is going to c7. And here you're forcing this decision. And the point is the knight is good here. The knight is controlling d5. And you're going to develop like this. So, what happened in the game though? He chose knight c3, the best option. He's just defending his pawn. And he played g6, and now e5. Now e5 is actually the best move. e5, and now knight to h5. And you can see this is very, very, very weird. But I mean, the entire point is just to go to g7, and you're going to f5 or e6. Why is knight g8? Going knight h6, knight f5 not an option? Because simply it's way too slow. You do not have time for this. And g4 is ready to kick the knight out. So obviously he goes knight h5. And here he now decides to trade. D takes. If you're wondering why b takes didn't work, it's kind of weakening. You can't really guard this pawn anymore, and you're not getting d5 here. You're not playing d5. I mean, you are, but it's not that good. You just play h3. And these pawns here are kind of a weird mashup. So you take with the d pawn, which Levon does. And now castles, and now you see the maneuver. Knight g7, trying to go to f5 or e6. And d3. So one bad thing about having a knight on c3 is obviously you can't play c3 in d4, which is a standard idea in a Rossolimo, as I just said. So he's just going to develop his bishop probably here, if this pawn gets too much pressure, but he's probably going to go e3, and if he ever defends, like, let's just say, I don't know, rook g8, bishop e3, b6, he's already ready to go a4, a5. And if a5, this kind of weakens the position. So what does he do here? What does Levon do? h6. Not that good of a move. He should have played knight e6. And here again, there is a4. And you have to play a5. If you don't, and you just play like bishop g7, now a5 is coming. And here he chooses h6, which is not a good move. He should play knight e6. No, blind is going to go a4, bishop g7, a5. And he's not going to play e6, but he wants to play bishop e3, and this pawn can't be guarded, which is also a reason why this knight is on e6. He's guarding c5, he's putting pressure here, and this is not that easy to play. But he plays h6, as I said, and now knight to e4. And knight to e4 is not taking advantage of this opportunity. He should have played a4 again, sorry. He should have played a4 again. With the entire reason that bishop g4, he just says h3, take, knight a5, and now actually has e6, which is a tactic. But if he doesn't do this and he just goes a5, he's also better. But yeah, knight e4, and here he really only has one move, because if knight e6, there's bishop e3 coming, and he's going to have to play b6 eventually, which he does right now. Now rook e1, and here again the best move is either knight e6 or bishop e6. But what does he do? knight to f5, which is his first bad move of the game. Here, Andrea had to play h3 with the idea of g4. But he plays c3, which is also, it's fine. And here now, Levon makes his real first mistake, g5. Horrible move. Just a bad mistake. And here you play queen a4 or h3, and Andrea plays queen a4. The idea is just to put pressure here. And now how do you defend it? You don't, simply. The computer is saying bishop g7. Nobody in their right mind is playing this. This looks terrible, but it's not. It's definitely not. Because even though you're losing a pawn, you're getting a lot of counterplay here. This pawn could be potential weakness, and if something like this happens, you're fine here, even though it doesn't look like it. You're fine because this queen kind of looks weird. You have good pawns here. This pawn could be potentially weak. The queen is a target. This pawn is weak. But he chooses queen c7, which is a huge mistake. A huge mistake. I actually wonder how he didn't see this. I mean, he spent 7 minutes on this move, and he missed g4. g4 is just simply winning a piece. There's nothing you can do. I mean, yeah, you can go knight g7, but knight d6. Also bad that his queen's on e7, because if you take, obviously you lose the queen. So you can't take, you have to go king d7. Knight f7. You try saving your rook, knight h6. Knight f7. And now you get this pawn as well, and I mean, you're up 3 points of material. This king is completely weak. You can't do this. And Levon saw that line, and he played queen to b7. Sacked the piece, and hoped for compensation. And compensation he got. d4, bishop g4. Knight f to d2 is a good move, just simply stepping out. And now, as you can see, he's switching his focus to the queen side. Because he's won a piece, he's completely won the opening battle, so he's going to try to attack him. cd4. Knight b3. So, as you can see, cd4 is played because he has the two bishops, and he's just trying to make anything out of his position at this point. And knight b3, yeah, why can't he just take here? Because of knight f6 check. He probably saw this and thought, this is not good, which it isn't. So, he just castles long. And he's trying to exert some sort of pressure, which he doesn't really have. Takes and king b8. He's stepping out of any line of attack, and he's probably going to play rook c8 and c5. Which he eventually does. Right now. Yeah. He wants to play c5, weaken this pawn, and try to get his rook into the game. Rook c3, and now king to a8. This is just a prophylaxis. I mean, as you can see, I mean, ever since queen to b7, like here, queen to b7, he's been only playing great moves. So, after king a8, knight g3, which is a good move, and he's basically asking him a question. Where are you going to move your bishop? h7? G6? Not really. So, h3 it is. And you're trying to control anything that goes to f1, and yeah, that's basically the point. And that's f1. Yeah. And here, there's only one move that comes remotely close to being anything close to not completely losing, which is b5. And this is plus 2.23. And here he has to play queen f5, which is not that difficult of a move to see, but bishop b4. Queen b4, c5, and now you see the importance of the bishop going to h3. This is mate now, and he has to sack his queen, and here he's actually still better, but you're down a queen against a 2730, so why would you do this? And he played knight to a5, his first mistake, not mistake, but first blunder. And on the surface, with no deep analysis, this actually looks like a good move, because if you take, right? But obviously I'm not going to take here with the king. I'm going to take on f1. And if you try to escape, like this isn't really working out. Bishop b4. And you're just worse here, as white. So you take with the king, and now you go into this kind of endgame, where After c5, black has active pieces and pressure in the center. White has more space and, I mean, equally active pieces, honestly. Just has to get his rook with one move into the game. So he takes, bishop takes, and now rook e4. And he's getting really, really low on time on the 33rd move. So here Levon just presses him. Bishop e6, and he gets into this position. This pawn here is way better at stopping these two pawns. And now he's going to play against this pawn and probably against these pawns. So he gives a check first. And h5, which is a great move. He's maybe even trying to get a mating net somehow. He's basically trying to trick him because, as you see, Andre only has 44 seconds. f4, a very, very brave move to play after like 30 seconds of thought. And g4. And look at this. This is crazy. He's just trying to get a mating net here with h4, and he's trying to mate him. So king g3. And now what do you play? Like, do you bring the second rook in? No, not really. King h4 and rook c8. You have to go back and just take the L. So what do? You play the incredible move rook to g8. Point being, you want to play g3 at some point. So rook e3, and now rook f1, and he's cutting the king off. This is crazy. Levon with 20 minutes on the clock and Andre with only 40 seconds. He's really pressuring in and trying to get something out of this game, and he does. Rook f2, big mistake. h4. Here you already see the mating net. King g2, and here Levon just had to trade and then play like rook d8. And you're getting in. If you try to defend yourself, just rook d3, and it's over. But what he did was worse. He played rook d1. It's still way better, but I mean, if he had, it's still way better. But if he had found f5, then it would not have been this obvious. But he didn't. He played rook e2, which is a horrible move. And now the game is over. Just h3, rook g8, and g3. He took, and it's just resignable. Like, let's say you try rook c2. Now you go to g7, trying to mate him from here. And not the best moves already to sack all the rooks and get checkmated with the ladder mate. So, this was a crazy game. I hope you learned something from this. That GMs are scumbags and can get away with anything they want, playing against a low-rated opponent. And also, on a positive note, I hope you learned how to play when down a piece. I mean, jokes aside, Levon actually, after he lost the piece, he actually played masterfully. I mean, he played really, really well. And he just converted his advantage that he got and won. Just as simple as that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.